The 4-1 Detroit Lions head to Kansas City to face the 2-3 Kansas City Chiefs. You heard that right. The 2-3 Kansas City Chiefs, a feisty, hungry version of the Kansas City Chiefs, looking to save their season so they can make the postseason. We're up against it, folks. I'm just kidding. They're up against it. How crazy is that? Patrick Mahomes and company are up against it, not the Detroit Lions. I will say this: Vegas doesn't see it that way. Vegas actually has the Detroit Lions as the underdog in this one. But if you guys know how gambling goes, typically the home team gets 3 points. That's exactly what this spread is. It's 2.5 favored in favor of the Kansas City Chiefs versus Detroit Lions. First and foremost, start this one off. Let's start with who's going to be there, who's not going to be there. I'm not going to be there. I wish I was going to be there. I will not be in Arrowhead, but I'm talking about injuries. Detroit Lions injury report. Quite the names popped up on the did not participate side of things for the Detroit Lions. Lots of starters. Starting off with number 1, Terrion Arnold. The reason why I start with that one is earlier this week we had some news that he may be out for the season, likely this season. Then he had a second opinion, and now, according to Adam Schefter, he may be back as early as this month. Have zero clue what's going on with that one. They spoke with Terrion in the locker room. He says he's working to come back. So it's just, we'll leave it at the fact that he's probably going to make a return at some point during this season. Don't know what the heck is going on. It doesn't even seem like the Detroit Lions know what's going on in that situation. But that is the current update on Terrion Arnold and his shoulder injury. He said he injured it. Guess you're not supposed to reach in football. He injured it while reaching and making contact with the ground. It was a previous shoulder injury from the Browns game that he carried into Cincy. And yeah, hopefully he is back sooner than later. I do believe this Detroit Lions team is better with Terrion Arnold on the field. If you guys don't believe me, check out the video my guy Spinny did earlier this week. Another guy missing on the injury report, dealing with a hamstring injury, Zach Cunningham, not a starter in the sense of defense, offense, defense. Weird that I said defense first, well, because he's a defensive player. But he's a great special teams contributor. And he contributes to some reps on defense as well, too. Zach Cunningham, longtime NFL player. I believe he wore a C on his chest at one point in his career. He's very good, and he actually contributed to the Detroit Lions, I believe, in a major way on special teams at the very least. On the injury report, coming off of a game that he missed, Taylor Decker still dealing with that shoulder injury. I don't know if you guys saw earlier this week, the Detroit Lions did activate Dan Skipper from the practice squad. Oh, man, am I thankful for that one, to be honest with you. I don't even mean to sound disrespectful, but Gio Manu is very much still in the developmental phase of things when it comes to NFL football. I think a lot of people need to remind themselves that he's coming from Canada. Yes, he's the tongue and tower of terror, but he learned to play football in Canada. The collegiate level of football in Canada is that of a high school here in America. And so just different levels of competition. I know our guy Justin Rogers spoke with him, and he felt like it was a little bit more of just lack of certainty in what he was doing out there. So he couldn't bring his complete violence is a word I believe they chose. There was a rep downhill that he had on one of the Bengals linebackers where he actually delivered him into the dirt, but there were also 2 reps where he lost. 2, in fairness, Trey Hendrickson for a sack. But and I actually a lot of people throwing that excuse to like, don't give up, I'm not giving up. He's very much a project. The project's not complete. And by the way, like, I'm not sending him out there to protect Jared Goff's blind side if the project's not complete. We had Dan Skipper play in a big-time game for the Detroit Lions last year, another primetime spot, Thursday Night Football against the Green Bay Packers, and he played phenomenally well. I believe at the end of the day, keep in mind, I don't know what you do with your PFF stuff, but I believe Dan Skipper was one of the best graded offensive lineman in that game. Dan Skipper activated for the practice squad. I believe he will probably make the start over Giovanni Manu in this one. The other thing, too, man, is like we need Jared Goff up, right? We need Jared Goff healthy. This is a very tremendously talented offense, but JG is the conductor of that train, that freight train coming through KC to knock things down. Again, I'm not giving up on Giovanni Manu, but he told you himself there's a lot of communication stuff, which, to be fair, that's what happened week 1 with the entirety of the offensive line. So maybe that's something that could be ironed out with the activation of Dan Skipper. I don't think it's something Dan Campbell wants to find out just quite yet. In fact, Dan Campbell was kind of he didn't say it was a good outing. He said there's ups and downs, but he was happy that he had that experience. He feels like having a bad game can help an offensive lineman level up because they never want that to happen again. And actually, I can agree to that wholeheartedly. This is not National Football League, but doing the podcast, doing the streams, doing the live stuff, like it's when you have a bad one, it's like, oh, I have to make sure I'm prepared so that never happens again. So I could see Dan Campbell's point in that one. Hey, who knows? Maybe Giovanni Manu gets the nod again. I know a lot of people are saying, hey, it's not really fair. He's going against Trey Hendrickson. He's one of the best in the league. Okay, but this week we're going against Chris Jones. You know what I'm saying? Like there's like one of those guys on maybe every team in the National Football League, to be honest with you. Maybe not, but the good ones. And Chris Jones is not a guy who just plays inside. He plays outside too. And you could easily put him on Giovanni Manu, have yourself a day. The other thing with that situation is Jared Goff, one of the things that makes him great in this offense, in this system, is the play action. And the play action, you are quite literally turning your back to the defense. That blind side is extremely important. We can't have JG out there sitting like raw chicken in front of an alligator coop. Why do you guys deal with me? I don't know. But moving on, Taylor Decker's still in there. Maybe there's a chance he plays. I probably going to side with that he doesn't, although it is a big game for the Detroit Lions. Dan Campbell reinstated, hey, we'd rather have him down the line for even bigger games, talking about playoffs, talking about division games, stuff like that. That's where you're going to need Taylor Decker. And yeah, it's going to stink if you lay one against the Kansas City Chiefs on national television, especially when they're 2-3. But again, I think what matters most, this team gets to the playoffs healthy. I think as Detroit Lions fans, witnessing what happened last year, you want this team healthy in the playoffs too, right? Would you trade the 15-2 record for a healthy roster in the playoffs? I would. We went further the year before, the worst record. Just saying. Also on the injury report, Kirby Joseph, all-pro safety Kirby Joseph. I have a fun fact actually about Kirby. Let me pull it up. And I know you guys probably know all the interception stats, all the turnover stuff, and all that is very, very true. Here's the situation with Kirby Joseph and how good he's projected to be, how good he's been. All right. Kirby Joseph and Ed Reed, they've been the two guys to have the 20-plus interceptions at the safety position in the first 4 years of playing the position. There's an age gap there. I believe Ed Reed was like 26, 27. Kirby Joseph, 24. What are we doing? I mean, that's huge stuff, man, in my opinion, if I'm being honest with you. Kirby Joseph, been excellent for the Detroit Lions. He's just like a magnet to the ball, man. He's just there. He really is. Another interception this last game. He's on the injury report with a lingering knee issue. But to be fair, he's been dealing with that for quite some time. I know Kirby Joseph came up with the knee situation in training camp. He sat out a couple practices, came back. And you see him on the injury report here and there throughout the season so far. So far, he's been playing, though. Yeah, I think he left briefly in the Browns game, returned, also had a pick on that one, too. He just leads the league, by the way. Again, right now, Kirby Joseph leads the league again in interception. So for any people that thought that was a fluke, just there's a little tad bit of information for you. I expect Kirby Joseph to play. I think it's just a do not participate in order of just like, let's not work this thing. Let's not depreciate what we're getting here. Let's let this thing heal up. And when we need you in the game, that's when you'll play. Maybe picks off Patrick Mahomes. Who knows? He did throw a pick 6 to Devin Lloyd last week on Monday Night Football. Also on the injury report, if you guys remember, Cleve Raymond had a little bit of a neck issue where he was returning a punt, and it looked like he had tripped. At the same time, somebody had launched their body at him. It did look very scary. Immediately, though, the hands were moving. I know sometimes in those situations you'll see him shoot up or not move at all. Cleve was moving around. I don't know that he'll play this week, but I think the best part is he's healthy. Some of the names that are, I'll get this one out the way. Sione Vaki still doing the groin, did not participate. Sounds like he's going to be out for probably another week or so. I expect him to probably come back this week or the following week right before the bye. Amon-Ra St. Brown. Detroit Lions, all-pro wide receiver, did pop up on the injury report, was not seen at practice. He seems to be dealing with a wrist injury that I want to give some kudos to. Let me find him. I actually don't know his name. I'm not going to find him. There's a Twitter account that tracks the Detroit Lions injuries. I'll try to find it actually while I'm doing this. But he had found a video, two videos actually. One of Amon-Ra St. Brown on a kick return last week on the onside punt. And then he also, actually, I don't know if I can show you this video because it's game footage. Maybe I'll try to show you a photo of it. Either way, it's Jimmy Lau is the name. Jimmy Lau MD on X. And he went back and he found the footage from the Browns game. Amon-Ra catches the ball, dives forward, comes up, and he's grabbing at that wrist. I could actually probably just show you a screen share of that one versus the entirety of the thing. But Amon-Ra dealing with that wrist injury. He obviously played last week. He did the podcast. We actually see him come through the studio later on this week. He did have an air cast on. Knowing Amon-Ra St. Brown, I don't foresee that slowing him down at all whatsoever. I think the only thing, not slowing him down, I guess I don't see that making him a non-participant in the game. Apologize, I was sharing that to the screen. There's Amon-Ra grabbing onto the wrist. And then you heard it furthermore in that kick return situation too. But he's going to play. I think the only way that affects things, maybe. And it's because we seen him have 6 receptions, 100 yards last week. So it's like, does that really affect him? He didn't get the touchdown that we're used to. We didn't get the Amon-Ra Selly that we're used to. So maybe for fantasy or gambling, maybe it affects you there. I expect him to be in the game. Maybe it can affect some blocking. Who knows? I think this guy's a dog, and I think he'll be there active for that game. Other name on the injury report, this one, guys, we're getting out of the did not participate, and we're getting into the participation, guys. Alim McNeill, defensive tackle for the Detroit Lions, full participant. Oh, man. Aidan Hutchinson's he is currently the favorite to win Defensive Player of the Year. If I'm not mistaken, he has 1, 2, 3, 4 consecutive games with a sack, going for his 5th. Could have had 3 last week. He's had 3 total wiped off the board. He had 2 last week wiped off. 1 was a safety, 1 was a fumble. This guy, Aidan Hutchinson, is an absolute demon. You like what he's doing. How about I tell you, his partner in crime, Alim McNeill, is returning. The reason why that's a bonus, ladies and gentlemen, I don't know how many times we explain this in the channel. I don't know how many times you might already know this, but you know, if Aidan Hutchinson's getting double teamed, triple teamed, they're pulling guards over, they're sending tight ends over, and getting attention over there to stop Aidan Hutchinson from disrupting a play. You're leaving one-on-one situations across the offensive line for the Detroit Lions to take advantage of. That is where Alim McNeill comes in, who led this team in pressures last year, despite only playing 14 games. And I say 14 games, but you watched my video last week, it's more like a 12. Because he left 2 games early. One where he tore his ACL, and the other one he left early in the Green Bay game with a concussion. Alim, the Dream McNeill. Listen, I can't say for sure. That's completely fair. But I feel like he's coming back for this game. Alim McNeill coming back for a big, big game, going up against a big, big quarterback. What a way to make a return. And, then taking down Patrick Mahomes in a primetime matchup. I can't control myself, to be honest with you, with that one. I shouldn't be gassing that up. And if you guys like that information, like you like the fact that, hey, Alim McNeill's coming back. Oh, we got Aidan Hutchinson on this side of that. How about I tell you this? The Detroit Lions defense generated the 4th highest pressure rate in the NFL this season. That's without Alim McNeill, by the way. But and the time to get there has been a little bit longer than usual. I think it's because we've seen a couple mobile quarterbacks. Patrick Mahomes is one of the guys too. We have the 2.9 second average time to pressure ranks 4th longest in the National Football League. So I think that's something that's got to do with the mobility, guys, that we've been seeing. I think every quarterback we faced so far outside of Jake Browning has been mobile, from Caleb Williams, Jordan Love, Lamar Jackson. I think I'm missing one. Oh, no, let's take out Joe Flacco. I apologize. Either way, they've been taking some time. Alim McNeill is going to help that. Again, regardless of that fact, Detroit Lions are the 4th highest pressure rate in the National Football League this season. Let's add this to the equation too, because shout out DJ Reader and shout out Tyreek Williams because they've been a part of that equation as well. But I believe Alim McNeill is one who's going to truly win that one-on-one in a pass rushing situation over the other two guys that are rushing from the interior right now too. In fact, I don't want to say it's been bad, but it's been of note that we've been playing Al-Quadin Muhammad on the inside too. The Detroit Lions defense has been effective in rushing four or fewer defenders, generating a 38% rate, the fourth highest in the NFL when rushing four or fewer defenders. And I think the cool thing too with having Casey Rogers here, I don't know if you guys remember last year when we lost to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Casey Rogers was the defensive line coach over there. Well, now he's the defensive line coach for your Detroit Lions. One of the things we lost to Tampa Bay Buccaneers, if you remember correctly, that offense did not look like that offense that ranked number one in the league. And one of the reasons was the pressure that the Tampa Bay Buccaneers were putting on us. They were doing these 5-man fronts, right? Creating individual matchups, tackle on somebody, guard on somebody, center on somebody, guard on somebody, tackle on somebody. These 5-man fronts they were winning some of them. Vita Vea was winning some. I don't know if Kalijah Kancey was healthy for that one, but the other kid too, he has a weird name. Not Wemby. Yaya Diaby was winning a few as well. That's what we've been doing in Detroit this year. Not a whole lot, but I've seen it enough. And Alim McNeill having a one-on-one matchup, Aidan Hutchinson having a one-on-one matchup in those situations, or how about the fact that they may have to just call over another tight end to help either way to get eliminate another pass catcher on the field, because we're going to need those pass catchers eliminated on this field, because speaking of injuries, we're without DJ Reed as well as Terry Arnold. We're missing both our starting cornerbacks in this situation. Now we do have Meek Robinson, who I think is a dog, and he's very, very familiar with this Kansas City Chiefs team because he's a former Raider who faced them twice a year. But it's going to help to have Alim McNeill back, I guess is the point that I'm getting to. One other piece of this injury report, Brian Branch, also as a limited participant with an ankle injury. That was news to me. I think I saw him grabbing that during the Cincinnati Bengals game. But for me, I was kind of just I'm so used to Brian Branch coming down with cramps that I thought that's what that situation was. But yeah, back to the matchup. So the biggest one right now for the Detroit Lions is Patrick freaking Mahomes, former league MVP, Super Bowl MVP. The only other man that has been mentioned amongst Tom Brady since the retirement of Peyton Manning, who, all due respect to Peyton, is not in the conversation now either. It's Patrick Mahomes. He's very good. Very, very, very good. A lot of people saying he lost a little bit. Last week, he had a 64-yard bomb to, I believe, Hollywood Brown, who couldn't complete the catch. The longest in the NFL since like 2018. I think only Derek Carr and somebody else had one out there too. So like he's still doing the damn thing, and he's very dangerous with his feet. Very, very dangerous with his feet. However, the good news is the Detroit Lions have utilized man coverage on 42% of opponents' dropbacks this season. That's the fourth highest rate in the league. The Lions' man coverage jumps up nearly 26% on third downs. You want to hear Patrick Mahomes' numbers against man coverage? Patrick Mahomes has struggled against man coverage this season, completing a career low of 52% of his passes for just 5 yards per attempt, the fewest in his career. He generated a negative 9.2 EPA against man coverage in 2025. That's big time. Detroit Lions man coverage is going to be huge in this one. Again, the men in coverage are not the men that we're used to when presenting that stat, but it is what it is. Again, I think we're going to have a little bit of help on the defensive front. I will say this, though, right? Patrick not doing great against man coverage. We haven't been doing great. I can't even say that, dude. We are the number one offense in the National Football League right now. No one scored more points than the Detroit Lions. I mean, come on. But I will say, if there's any defense that gives our guy JG issues, it's going to be that zone coverage. And the Chiefs defense has played zone coverage on 71.7% of dropbacks this season, their highest under Steve Spagnuolo since 2019. It's a big contrast from them playing man these past couple of years. Protege, by the way, Calvin Shepard, Detroit Lions defensive coordinator, protege of Steve Spagnuolo. That's one of his OGs. That's who he calls up. Hey, coach, what's your take on this? Hey, I'm thinking about doing this. What do you think about that? It's going to be an interesting matchup for the Detroit Lions. Josh Simmons, rookie Josh Simmons, only allowing a 5.7% pressure rate through 5 weeks, the fifth lowest amongst left tackles. Aidan Hutchinson going to change that. I can tell you that right now. Aidan Hutchinson versus Josh Simmons is going to be a matchup to look forward to. Going in, too, with Patrick Mahomes, right? His favorite weapon, his favorite thing to go to is probably going to be Travis Kelce. How about I inform you that Alex Anzalone has allowed just 7 receptions for 30 yards on 17 targets. That's 1.8 yards per target. And really, it's like 1.76, if I'm not mistaken. You just got to round up to 1.8 to make some damn sense. 1.8 yards per target is Alex Anzalone. That 41.2% completion rate allowed is the lowest amongst linebackers since 2018. Since 2018. That's how good Alex Anzalone is playing in coverage this year. Matter of fact, he got an interception last week. You know who else is playing really good at linebacker for the Detroit Lions? I think they finally got the Chiefs finally got their running game going a little bit against the Jaguars. The Jaguars are missing a few of their guys too. Trayvon Walker, most notably. He had wrist surgery. But I think Isaac Pacheco's going a little bit. That's okay. You want to know why? Jack Campbell's recorded 25 tackles on 98 run snaps this season, the third highest run tackle rate amongst linebackers. All right. He has the sixth most run stops in the National Football League right now. He is becoming, if not already, the best, one of the best run stopping linebackers in the National Football League. So I think what this game is going to come down to, ladies and gentlemen, is a lot of us versus Pat. And I think it's kind of that every situation when you're playing against the Kansas City Chiefs, right? It's like, what can you limit Pat? I think we can. I think the mobile quarterback situation, I mean, we've played against, I'd arguably the best mobile quarterback in the National Football League in Lamar Jackson. And we limited him to just 46 yards. We sealed those holes. Now, Mahomes a little bit different than Lamar, where Lamar kind of can just go because he's quick enough to go. Mahomes is a little bit more of a magician. Those little pirouettes he does, those little spins he does to like find the hole that you may not have read on. Like he can get you there. I believe he's the Kansas City Chiefs leading rusher right now too. My whole thing is this. I think with our quick pressure rate from Aidan Hutchinson, who's going to either line up against Juwan Taylor or a rookie, is going to benefit us. I think having Alim McNeill is going to benefit us. And yeah, they're going to be out there. And they got really fast receivers. I think the fastest wide receivers in the National Football League, if I'm not mistaken. Kirby Joseph, Brian Branch are probably going to seal the deal on this one, for being honest with you. I think those guys will be able to help us the most in limiting what the Kansas City Chiefs do best. And that is just kind of play some backyard football at times, right? We've all seen Patrick Mahomes do it, run around and find somebody down the field for like 50 yards. It's what he does best. But it's, again, we just mentioned Kirby Joseph on the injury report. Hopefully he does play, but that's not the game you want to play with him out there. Brian Branch probably the same way, if I'm being honest with you. And then another thing with Brian Branch, he can just come down and stop the run for you too. I personally will take the Detroit Lions in this one. I don't know that it necessarily will be pretty. The over-under is at 52.5. I'm probably going to take that over just because of how special Mahomes can be at times and how special this Detroit Lions offense is as well. Shoot, we've been scoring 38 points by ourselves. I think the over on that 52.5 is a pretty safe bet. If you want to bet the Detroit Lions, it's a plus 114. I would go ahead and take that. If you guys would like to support this channel, Lions Nation Unite, make sure you head over to lionsnationunite.com. Get yourself some merch. Look good. Represent the team. Represent the brand. Lions Nation Unite. We just dropped our Sonic and Knuckles updated logos because obviously Gibbs went and changed his number to 0. Make sure you guys check that one. It means the world to us. It keeps us doing this. It keeps us able to get Herman Moore on. In fact, if we hit 100 likes on this video, and if you made it this far into the video, maybe everybody else is not going to hear this. If we hit 100 likes in this video, I'll start bringing on some special guests for these breakdowns. I'm talking Justin Rogers, Will Birch. I'm going to reach out to the best of the best to get some of these breakdowns for you guys on this channel. Just need the support. So either smash the like button or head over to Lions Nation Night, get yourself some merch. Let me know your score prediction for the Detroit Lions versus the Kansas City Chiefs down below. If you guess the score prediction right, and I'll watch if it's edited or not, we'll be giving away some merch. How's that? I even checked that with the bosses. I already said it. So it's concrete now. It's what's happening. Smash the like button. Be a friend, tell a friend. Share this video. Detroit Lions, one pride, win on the road. Sunday Night Football against the Kansas City Chiefs. Lock it up. Player of the game, Brian Branch. On defense, player of the game. On offense, let's go Amon St. Brown. Is that? Yeah. Well, Amon St. Brown. Till next time, guys, I'm out.